Switzerland in the spring. Sounds inviting, doesn't it? But there's not much holiday about it for the experimental engineers who make up the crew of this car. They're spending day after strenuous day driving up and down the toughest passes they can find, testing the car to the limit on long climbs and descents that we just don't have in England. Constant, unremitting road testing, both before and after the introduction of the model, is vital if the production cars are to give the service and dependability that Vauxhall owners have come to expect. Unless the testing and development program is thorough and complete, no one can be sure that the cars coming off the assembly line will be trouble-free. This constant proving of design in the experimental shop and on road and track takes a long time, needs a lot of men, costs a lot of money. But here's what it ensures: cars that give consistently good service all over the world for as long as their owners need them. Cars that are right from the start. A valuable source of road test information before a model goes into production is duration testing. Test rigs in the experimental shops provide useful detailed information, but for proving engine, axles, steering and brakes, nothing can take the place of prolonged experience on the road. Night and day the test cars are kept at it over a specially selected 95-mile route with a wide variety of road conditions. The circuit includes 38 separate hills with gradients ranging from 5 to 20%. To amplify the experience gained from duration running, the engineers organize specific tests designed to throw up information about individual components. Brakes, gearbox and engine cooling, for example, are put through it in the Devonshire Hill Country. Lynmouth, Beggar's Roost, Porlock, all these famous test hills with gradients ranging up to over 30% are included in an intensive program in which the cars are seldom horizontal for more than a few moments. Engine and axle temperatures are measured, brake pedal pressures recorded, facts of all kinds are gathered to add to the store being built up at the factory. This is the surface of the Vauxhall rough track, an oval circuit with a series of concrete blocks 9 inches square and either 1 or 2 inches high sticking up from the surface. The pattern is carefully worked out so that the road wheels hit the blocks continually but at irregular intervals. This battering, no other word is expressive enough, tests the suspension, the entire vehicle in fact, so thoroughly that 1,000 miles on the rough track is equivalent to many thousands of miles on even the worst roads. Slow motion makes it easier to understand why this form of testing provides the engineers with their results in a fraction of the normal time. As a background to these different forms of testing a complete vehicle, scores of individual components are proved inside the experimental department on what are known as test rigs. The aim is to produce the kind of failures that are liable to occur in actual service, and most of these ingenious devices do just that. At some stage, almost every part of the car has its fatigue life determined in this shop. More special tests, this time in winter. Off to the continent in search of really cold weather to check the behavior of the car in snow and ice. The long straight roads of France en route for Switzerland and Austria provide an opportunity for high-speed trials. Well, they're looking for cold weather and they find it. Austria obliges with some really Arctic stuff, admirable for checking heater efficiency, ease of starting, and handling qualities on snow-covered roads. Later in the year, when the snow has gone, Switzerland comes into the picture again, for the Susten, the Simplon, the St. Gotthard, and the other well-known mountain passes provide driving conditions to be found in few other places, certainly not in Britain. The passes are long, rising some thousands of feet, but most of them are not particularly steep, so they can be taken up or down at quite high speeds. The bends are sharp and frequent, and the road is fairly narrow. Admirable conditions these for assessing the quality of steering, engine cooling, braking, and general road holding. These mountain passes also provide a chance of observing engine behavior at high altitudes, when boiling and vapor locks are more likely than at normal levels. And after a long day of this kind of motoring, the engineers are going to be satisfied with such things as driving vision and seating comfort only if they are really good. After snow and high altitude tests, dust. But it isn't necessary to go abroad to find that. At the proving ground of the British motor industry in the Midlands, a tunnel carpeted with fine dust is traversed at a variety of speeds. It doesn't need much of this treatment to determine if the sealing of doors, windows, floor and luggage trunk is good enough for dusty climates. The proving ground is full of interesting testing devices. This stretch of pave, for example, a carefully constructed replica of the worn cobbled surface that exists in parts of Belgium and other countries. See what this appalling surface does to the car's suspension. Here is the ripple road that simulates the washboard tracks found in many parts of the world. The single bump that provides a check on the suspension, a series of graded bumps for confirming spring and shock absorber action, and the water splash for checking whether a car is really waterproof. And finally, the steering pad, where Vauxhall have pioneered tests to determine the steering characteristics of a car and to learn exactly how it behaves on a bend. Protractors are fitted to the front wheels and to the steering wheel, and a theodolite is fitted inside the car. The readings are noted as speed is increased to the maximum possible on this tight circular track. Measurements are taken with the theodolite to check that the amount the car heels over is not excessive, even under these extreme conditions. As a result of the lessons learned in the comprehensive road testing of experimental cars, the production models manufactured in the Vauxhall plant at Luton are much better cars than the original prototypes. Vauxhall's hydromatic welding plant, only installation of its kind in Europe, turns out doors, trunk lids and underbodies faster and of better quality than ever before in Britain. This production line saves floor space, saves manpower and steps up quality by the use of multi-spot welding machines sited right alongside the presses that produce the sheet steel panels. It can turn out up to 300 doors per hour. There is a continuous flow of work from the first press operations on the panels to the final assembly operation on the door unit, with handling to a large extent mechanized. Floor assemblies are produced by the same system. After tack welding, to hold the components together, they move into the first multi-spot welding machine, and then in a continuous flow from one machine to another until the assembly is complete. This hydromatic welding system needs less space, less time, less labor than the former method of making spot welds one at a time. And welding quality is so much improved that subsequent finishing operations are practically eliminated. From the time a Vauxhall body shell is first produced in the main assembly jig, it travels 1¼ miles along the assembly lines until it finally meets the engine and wheels. Not far away, seat cases are stitched ready for the finished body, which is meanwhile receiving the first of many different coats of paint in a bath of gleaming black primer that protects the underbody inside and out against rust. At the other end of the factory, engine and axles come together on the main assembly line, ready to receive the body, which is now complete to the last detail. Vauxhall bodies, generous in size though light in weight, are proved by tests of torsional stiffness to achieve new standards of rigidity. Little now remains to be done except final assembly operations and inspection. At the end of the line, the cars are driven over a grid to settle the shock absorbers. The headlamps are aligned, and last of all, the cars receive a final water test. Most of these Vauxhalls are bound for overseas. Tens of thousands of them are shipped abroad each year to more than 100 different countries. But the proving program never ends, for engineers can never have enough information about the product. As test experience gets constantly wider, ways are revealed to make Vauxhalls still more efficient means of transportation. Testing in advance of production ensures that they were good right from the start. Subsequent testing, with the world as the proving ground, ensures that they keep on getting even better.